Happy Monday, everyone. Listen, gosh, we are we're into the trial. P Diddy um, still seems so unreal. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Um, so Cassie Ventura takes the stand today. Okay, May 13th, 2025. Did you think this was going to happen? She is 8 months pregnant. Now take that in. P. Diddy's ex girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, 8 months pregnant, and she took the stand today. And as a mom, I'm super protective over my children, but even when they were in utero, when they were in my belly, I'm rubbing my belly right now. One is going to be 16 next month, and one just turned 14 last month. And I just remember how protective I was over my belly, over my energy. I didn't allow negative people around me. I didn't go to negative spaces or places. Um, I was just super protective. And though I understand that she felt like, you know what, I need to go on this stand because I need to make sure that I get justice, the justice I feel that I deserve. I get that, but would I do that? 8 months pregnant? Probably not. Because I'd be so afraid that facing this person that didn't bring me any type of joy, and I would be so like afraid that my baby would be affected. Because even though the baby is growing inside of you, um, you are definitely, how should I say this? Um, how you are internally, you create that child's personality. If you are under stress, the baby's under stress. If you are full of anxiety, the baby can get that. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be super careful what what you do, what you say, how you are internally, how you're feeling. Make sure you're in a peaceful place while you're carrying a baby. And I'm not a doctor. I just always research those things, but I just kind of knew that actually. I knew that, it mother's intuition. You just always want, to protect and bring happiness. And I'm not saying that she's not thinking of her baby. Don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is, I know for me, I probably wouldn't have done it because I know that any type of toxic energy is not good for the baby. It's not. So, anyways, I want to read this. I'm on CNN, which is one of my favorite news apps. And I go to CNN for everything. They're one of my favorites. But here's the latest on the trial. Cassie Ventura on the stand, the former girlfriend of Sean Diddy Combs and one of his accusers, testified today in his federal criminal trial. She described Combs as controlling and said some of their arguments would get violent. She'll be back on the stand for a second day of testimony tomorrow. The jury has viewed hotel surveillance footage from an altercation between Combs and Ventura from 2016. That video is just, when I look at that, the first thing I'm thinking about is how are they going to find jurors to be neutral while they are skimming through the evidence because they can't allow that video to just be the focal point of their decision. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's memorable. It's hard to, think of a person in in such a great light, or to even be not biased of other things that may not be true. You know what I'm saying? Yes, that video happened. Yes, it shows that he was a terrible, monstrous boyfriend. You know, very heartless the way he was attacking. But you have to be neutral on other things, other accusations, um, because even though that shows that, but he may not be a trafficker. You see what I'm saying? So you have to, how do you, because, when you think of can I even say the word? I'll say rafficker because YouTube and other platforms. When you think of a rafficker, you think of someone that would be doing that because it is a very horrific um, trade that they do to girls and little boys, also little girls, little boys, and also adult women, and they do heartless things. So you think that they would be abusive, verbally and physical. So, okay. um Combs has pleaded not guilty to charges that include racketeering, conspiracy, uh um ex trafficking. Because I don't really know. Okay, if we can say the S and the T, and transportation to engage in prostitution. I think I could say that word. If convicted on jail counts, he could face up to life in prison. Yes, so that, yikes. I'm looking at this artist that did this picture of her, and she's fully pregnant and she's crying on the stand. Having to relive that, that's another reason why I don't know if I would have brought the baby on the stand in my belly. Because for me personally, I carry all stress and turmoil in my belly anyways. So, I just know me personally. But I pray for safety. I pray for peace in the utero. I pray for strength and courage for her to get through this while being pregnant. Um, Cassie Ventura also testified about her relationship with the music mogul and the alleged freak offs during the federal criminal trial today. Some of the details of her testimony are graphic. Um, oh, I already said this part. Sorry. I'm sorry about that. Um, I will say this part here. Early stages of the relationship, Ventura testified that the relationship started platonically when she was signed to Bad Boy Records in 2006, and she was 19 at the time. She later told the court she was really confused. The first time Combs kissed her while celebrating her 21st birthday in Las Vegas. She described him as fun guy who also happened to have my career in his hands, saying he called all the shots while she was younger. And that's the thing, I'm always so worried about my children as they get of age. When you're a young girl, and I remember being 19, I'm 50 now, but how impressionable, and how I remember looking to always be with an older man, because if your relationship is difficult with your father, I'm not saying that hers is, but I'm thinking about little girls like myself who had a complicated, you know, uh, father and daughter relationship with their dad, um, you tend to look for the love and the attention from a older man, you know? So it's so easy. That's why I tell my male friends, make sure you stay in your daughter's or children's relationship for, in your relationship with your child, regardless of gender, but the female especially too, because we can look for love in all the wrong places. And that was one of the things that I regret in life at such a young age. Starting as young as Cassie, looking for that person to lead, and they weren't the right persons, you know? Um, anyways, and she also said, Ventura said some of their arguments would be violent and result in some of sort of physical abuse. That is terrible for a young woman to go through, any woman at any age. He would smash me in the head, Lord have mercy, knock me over, drag me, kick me, stomp me in the head if I was down, she said. Combs Combs experienced mood swings, and if she didn't answer her phone, he would call her incessantly or send staff to find her. Could you imagine not being able to have the free will in a relationship to just be hanging out and you're just being young and just having a good time, and you have someone that you trust is being so overprotective, overbearing, abusive, you know. And even though it says it here, I'm going to say alleged. This is what she said. Oh, goodness. In the first years of their relationship, Ventura said uh, Combs proposed this sexual encounter that he called voyeurism, where he would watch me be in intercourse with another man, which shocked her. She said she didn't feel like she could refuse them, adding that Combs controlled a lot of her life. That has got to be scary. She said she was about 22 years old when Combs first asked her to have a freak off. Ventura agreed, but because she wanted to make him happy. And see, this is nothing new. Young girls, since the beginning of time, and let me go back to what I was talking about. When you are struggling to love yourself internally or have that foundation between your father, or you don't know your father at all. And when that foundation is broken, we go into this thing of wanting to be people please, not just only with men, but even with friends, friendships, or anyone that comes in our life. We don't want to make anyone unhappy. One, it could be we're afraid of abandonment. We're so afraid of not getting that love or that void that we long for or never even saw or had. I have been there. That's why as this is reading her testimony just brings back a lot of memories. Try not to get emotional, but it is so familiar, and it's probably familiar globally because naturally, most women, all we want to do is to be loved, to be loved. Um, so yes. Oh gosh, okay. Ventura said she'd stay awake for days at a time without sleep against her will. She testified that Combs would decide when the encounters would end. Oh, God, torture. Combs also directed every detail of the freak-offs like he was some executive producer or director in a movie. Um, and they often followed a similar pattern, she said. Ventura also said she felt like the freak-offs were the only time she could get with Combs. I felt disgusting. I was humiliated, she said. I didn't have the words to put together at the time how horrible I really felt. And I couldn't talk to anybody about it, Ventura said. She said she took drugs to disassociate from the experience. Now that's something that I always was afraid to do. So I was a scary berry and wanting to try drugs. The most I've ever done was marijuana. But could you imagine grabbing a substance that could kill you, but you just want to be numb so bad because you are mentally and probably physically in pain? To mm. When booking hotel rooms or dancers, Combs and Ventura used aliases, she said. Other times, Combs' staff would make arrangements, she said. Ventura also testified Combs tasked her with finding escorts. Sorry, I have such a hard time with this last name. Combs, Combs had specific physical requirements and had to approve the escorts, she said, adding that he wanted her to check if the person was a cop. She said some escorts participated in the freak-offs in multiple states, and sometimes she or a travel agent for Combs, helped coordinate their travel. That is just so sad and sick. Ventura described the altercation between her and Combs at the Intercontinental Hotel in 2016. So that's the video that everybody has seen. That was caught on security camera, which the jury has already seen several times. She said it started when she tried to have a freak off before it was over. Combs hit her and she ran out as fast as I could, she testified. I'm going to stop right there. That is so frightening. This whole thing that's happening, it sounds like a movie. When you think about Sean, Puff Daddy, Diddy, whoever you want to call him, when I was introduced to him as musically, like the world, I think I was 19, 18, in Virginia at a, HBCU. He has created and um, produced some of the biggest hits. Biggie Smalls, yes. I was a freshman in college. You know, um, Mary J. Blige, he was part of her career. I believe Father MC, I love him too. I think he discovered her, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong. But, Puff Daddy at the time was part of, it's part of her career, and you would see him dancing, and it's like this can't be the same dude that always seemed happy and a good time. It's just so weird. I am praying for Cassie and her family. I'm praying for Diddy's family, his children that is watching this, the mother of his children. I know that Kim is probably tossing in the grave because she's not there. Like Misa's there to be with her child, and I saw her on the wonder what happened to her. Allegedly, I just saw her on TikTok on a walker. So I don't know what happened to her, but she was there to support Justin and, you know, um, with the family. And Janice Combs, his mother, she's up there in age. This has got to be hard. Um, like I said, he has twins. He has little, you know, his boys, twin girls, and I just pray for everybody in this situation, and I just pray for resolution. If he did not do all the other things, I pray that he'll get his justice. But I did pray for this wound being opened up again for Cassie, excuse me. Um, anyways, click the subscribe button, you guys. Let's stay in constant prayer for these children and for Cassie's baby to be safe while she's on the stand. And I pray for her husband as well. So, anyways, I love you guys. Thank you for supporting me as always. Bye.